Have you heard about the day that California accidentally legalized cannibalism due to a typo in their state constitution? Stay tuned. Get this, on March 21st, 1850, California's first state constitution was completed with what might be history's most unfortunate typographical error. The document was supposed to outlaw dueling, but someone accidentally wrote devouring instead. This meant that for nearly 22 years, dueling was perfectly legal in California, while eating human flesh was explicitly banned. The error wasn't discovered until 1872, when legal scholar John Norton Pomeroy was reviewing state laws, and he noticed the bizarre prohibition. The state legislature quickly amended the Constitution, officially outlawing dueling and removing the unnecessary cannibalism clause, though, to be clear, eating people was and still is legal under other laws. Still, for over 2 decades, any literal law and order types in California had to admit that, well, technically you could challenge someone to a pistol duel at dawn, but sharing a neighborly barbecue with human ribs was strictly forbidden. Have you heard? Today we are celebrating National Common Courtesy Day. In a world of ever-fading social niceties, March 21st is dedicated to reminding us all that please and thank you and not taking the last donut in the break room without asking are still important. Studies show that experiencing common courtesy, it can actually trigger the release of oxytocin. That's the same chemical that your brain produces when you cuddle puppies. Wow. A University of California study found that witnesses to acts of courtesy were 40% more likely to perform acts of kindness themselves, kind of creating a ripple effect of positivity. So maybe being polite isn't just nice, it's scientifically contagious. The practice of formally teaching courtesy dates back to medieval times, when knights followed elaborate chivalry codes. So the next time that you hold the door for someone, you're basically being a knight in shining armor, just with fewer dragons to slay and more doors to hold. Have you heard? On this day in 1999, balloonists Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones completed the first nonstop circumnavigation of the Earth in a hot air balloon. After 19 days, 21 hours, and 55 minutes floating through the sky, the pair landed in the Egyptian desert, having traveled 25,361 miles. Their balloon, the Breitling Orbiter 3, stood taller than the Statue of Liberty at 180 feet high when fully inflated. During their record-breaking journey, they reached speeds of up to 105 miles per hour at altitudes of nearly 36,000 feet, where temperatures plummeted to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The two men lived in a pressurized capsule the size of a minivan for nearly 3 weeks, sleeping in shifts of 4 hours each. Have you heard? On March 21st, 1963, Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, America's most notorious prison, closed permanently after 29 years of operation. Despite housing infamous criminals like Al Capone and Birdman Robert Stroud, the prison's downfall wasn't security concerns, it was plumbing. The island facility's pipes were being severely corroded by salt water, causing raw sewage to pollute the San Francisco Bay. Pretty crappy. Combined with exorbitant operating costs of nearly 3 times more per inmate than any other federal prison, the government decided to shut it down. Here's a mind-blowing fact. In its entire history, not a single prisoner ever successfully escaped. Of the 36 men who tried, 23 were captured, 6 were shot and killed, 2 drowned, and 5 went missing or were presumed drowned, though conspiracy theories about their potential survival persist to this day. I guess you could say that for most inmates, Alcatraz was literally a sink or swim situation. You know, with World Poetry Day also happening today, my neighbor decided to impress his wife by writing her a poem. He spent hours at his desk surrounded by crumpled paper before calling me in a panic. "I need help," he cried. "I'm trying to rhyme something with rose." I suggested goes, flows, knows, but he rejected them all. Finally, I asked what he had so far. He cleared his throat dramatically and said, "Roses are red, your eyes are so blue, but my favorite flower is a chrysanthemum." When I pointed out his rhyming problem, he said, "I know nothing rhymes with chrysanthemum." I tried explaining the concept of poetry for half an hour before he finally settled on, "Roses are red, your eyes are so blue, sugar is sweet, and I love," he paused for dramatic effect, "glue." His wife was so confused when he presented it attached to a bottle of Elmer's. "I wanted to really stick the landing," he explained, with a wink. Speaking of painful punchlines that'll make your family groan poetically, have you checked out our dad joke button? Take a listen.
Why are elevator jokes so good? Because they work on so many levels.
And that's all for today's edition of Have You Heard? Please leave a comment if you learned something preposterous. I'm Troy W. Hudson, the voiceover with personality. Until next time, stay curious.